begins with understanding that genetic selection is both an art form passed down generations and a science that continues to evolve with our growing knowledge of avian genetics. Successful breeders combine traditional wisdom with modern scientific insights to develop birds with exceptional racing abilities. The foundation of any successful breeding program starts with a clear vision. Before making any breeding decisions, you must first define what constitutes the ideal racing pigeon for your specific racing conditions. Pigeons that excel in short-distance sprints often possess different genetic characteristics than those that dominate long-distance endurance races. Some fanciers focus on birds that perform well in headwind conditions, while others prioritize those that navigate effectively through varying weather patterns. Your ideal bird should align with your racing goals and local competitive environment. When we talk about genetic selection in racing pigeons, we are essentially discussing the process of identifying and propagating desirable traits while minimizing or eliminating undesirable ones. This selective breeding approach has transformed wild rock doves into specialized racing athletes over many generations. The key to success lies in recognizing that every breeding decision either moves your colony forward or backward. There is rarely a neutral outcome. Let's examine the primary traits that most successful breeders focus on when making genetic selections. First and foremost is homing ability. The fundamental skill of a racing pigeon is its capacity to return home quickly from distant release points. This navigational ability appears to be partly innate and partly developed through training, but the genetic component is substantial. Pigeons with exceptional homing abilities consistently demonstrate superior orientation skills, even in challenging conditions. Flying speed and endurance represent another crucial genetic factor. Some pigeons naturally possess muscle fiber compositions that favor either short bursts of speed or sustained flight. The ratio of fast twitch to slow twitch muscle fibers affects whether a bird will excel in sprint races or marathon events. By selectively breeding birds that consistently show superior performance in your preferred race distances, you can enhance these physiological attributes in subsequent generations. Intelligence and adaptability are traits that experienced breeders have long recognized as vital, though they can be challenging to measure objectively. Smart pigeons make better racing decisions, adapting to changing wind conditions and choosing optimal flight paths. They also tend to learn from experiences, improving their performance with each race. Birds that demonstrate problem-solving abilities and quick adaptation to new circumstances often become exceptional racers. The physical conformation of a racing pigeon significantly impacts its aerodynamic efficiency. A well-balanced body with proper proportions reduces drag and enhances flight efficiency. Key aspects include wing shape and size relative to body mass, keel development, muscle symmetry, and overall skeletal structure. While these characteristics can be evaluated visually, their true value only emerges when tested through actual racing performance. Health, fear, and recovery capacity represent another genetic cluster that dramatically affects racing success. Pigeons with robust immune systems resist illness better and recover more quickly from the physical demands of racing. After an exhausting race, some birds are ready to compete again within days, while others require weeks of recovery. This resilience has strong genetic underpinnings and should be prioritized in your selection process. Motivation and competitive drive cannot be overlooked. Some pigeons simply possess a stronger desire to return home quickly. This psychological aspect of racing often manifests as determination to overcome obstacles and maintain focus throughout the race. Highly motivated birds frequently outperform physically superior competitors through sheer willpower. These traits often become apparent during training and early races. The respiratory system efficiency represents perhaps the most critical physiological factor in racing success. Advanced oxygen processing capability allows birds to sustain high performance without fatigue. The development of the air sac system, lung capacity, and blood oxygen carrying capacity all influence a pigeon's endurance and speed. Birds with superior respiratory genetics often display remarkable recovery rates after exertion. Now that we have identified the key traits, let us discuss practical approaches to genetic selection in your loft. The foundation of effective selection begins with meticulous record keeping. Document everything including race results, training performances, recovery times, health issues, and breeding outcomes. These records become invaluable when making breeding decisions and tracking genetic progress across generations. The concept of line breeding deserves special attention. This practice involves breeding related birds that share desirable traits to concentrate those characteristics in offspring. When applied judiciously, line breeding can rapidly enhance specific attributes in your colony. However, it requires careful monitoring to avoid introducing or amplifying genetic weaknesses. Successful line breeding depends on starting with truly exceptional specimens and having the discipline to cull rigorously when negative traits emerge. Outcrossing introduces fresh genetics from unrelated lines and serves as an essential counterbalance to line breeding. Strategic outcrossing can introduce vigor, new capabilities, or specific traits your colony may lack. The key is selecting outcross birds that complement your existing stock while maintaining compatibility with your breeding goals. Random outcrossing rarely produces consistent improvements, but thoughtfully planned genetic introductions can revitalize a stagnant breeding program. Test breeding represents a critical evaluation tool in genetic selection. By pairing promising young birds with proven performers, you can quickly assess their genetic potential as breeders. The performance of resulting offspring provides valuable insights into which genetic combinations produce superior racers. Methodical test breeding accelerates your learning curve and helps identify hidden genetic strengths and weaknesses. Eye-sign theory deserves mention, though it remains controversial among modern breeders. This approach holds that certain characteristics of the pigeon eye correlate with racing ability and breeding potential. While scientific evidence remains limited, many successful breeders incorporate eye-sign evaluation as one component of their selection process. Whether based on genuine genetic markers or simply coincidental correlations, some fanciers achieve remarkable results using this traditional selection method. This approach helps develop well-rounded performers rather than one-dimensional racers. Genetic testing has entered the world of pigeon racing with mixed reception. DNA analysis can confirm parentage, identify certain health markers, and potentially recognize performance indicators. While still evolving, this technology may eventually provide insights into specific genes associated with superior racing abilities. Forward-thinking breeders are beginning to incorporate these scientific tools alongside traditional selection methods. Performance-based selection remains the gold standard in racing pigeon breeding. Results on the race sheet provide the most objective measure of a bird's capabilities under competitive conditions. Champions that consistently perform across varying distances and weather conditions typically possess the genetic combinations you want to propagate. Their proven track record offers tangible evidence of genetic quality that transcends theories and visual assessments. Beyond identifying desirable traits, effective genetic selection requires ruthless culling decisions. Every loft has limited space, and maintaining mediocre birds inevitably compromises your breeding program. The willingness to remove underperforming birds, regardless of their pedigree or purchase price, distinguishes successful breeders from hobbyists. Remember that each breeding slot given to an average bird represents a missed opportunity to develop exceptional genetics. The concept of complementary pairing stands at the heart of advanced breeding programs. Rather than simply matching winners with winners, this approach involves pairing birds whose strengths and weaknesses balance each other. A cock bird with exceptional speed but average orientation might pair perfectly with a hen possessing superior navigational abilities but moderate velocity. This balanced approach often produces more consistent performers than simply matching birds with identical characteristics. The breeding pyramid strategy structures your breeding program into hierarchical tiers. At the apex are your proven champion breeders, the birds that consistently produce superior racers regardless of their own racing